There are a lot of stupid ways to win a baseball game or to lose a baseball game, and the Rangers this weekend found the stupidest.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Rangers podcast. I'm Bryce Patrick, a criminally addicted Texas Rangers fan, covering this team for 12 seasons, including all 7 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, on today's show, we're going to be talking about this Rangers series loss, the dumbest way possible to lose a baseball game. And yeah, unfortunately, I'm still talking about this offense being broken. Before we get into all that, did you know that your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into a gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV locked on to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Now, the Rangers lost 2 out of 3 to a very good Giants team this weekend, but the way in which they did it, 2 straight walk-off losses, 2 straight one-run losses, a net run differential this weekend of 0, but 0 is the amount of understanding that I have of what the heck happened in the 9th inning on Sunday. Just the dumbest, most boneheaded, horrifying, inexcusable, offensive to my senses loss on Sunday. Now losing a walk-off home run, that stinks. Man, should have made a better pitch. That's so embarrassing. Losing on a walk-off inside the park home run. Wow, what an incredible play. What an exciting play. That must have been the hitter did something incredibly well. Maybe the defense didn't do their absolute best, or maybe it's just an incredibly fast runner. It happens. A walk-off Little League home run on the first batter of the inning, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And trust me, I've watched a lot of dumb things happen on a lot of different baseball fields. I've watched a lot of baseball, but this is by far the dumbest, most infuriating, boneheaded loss I've ever seen. Luke Jackson, my man, what are you doing? Jake Berger, my man, what are you doing? Also, Adolis Garcia, why are you not the one making that throw? Much better arm. And I think the most infuriating part of this walk-off inside the park Little League home run, just Little League, it's not even a home run. It's just a Little League home run because it required the most luck and perfect storm of ineptitude that I have ever seen in a baseball game. The most infuriating part watching this back for the third or fourth time is that not only is Heliot Ramos not particularly fast, he wasn't even gunning it the whole way around. I mean, he got to first base. He was running and beat it out. He's not a particularly fast runner. Last year, his sprint speed was around middle of the pack, a little bit above average, but not necessarily a burner. It's not like it was Chandler Simpson out there or, Wyatt Langford or, even Evan Carter. No, it was Heliot Ramos. And once he got past second base, he thought about holding up there. And then he kind of nonchalantly motored in there to third base. The Rangers could have easily prevented this with one competent throw. But no, it took a misplay, granted a difficult play for Luke Jackson to make initially. It was a difficult play to make for sure. Maybe he should have let Josh Smith go and get that at third base. Would have been an easier play for him. Maybe he wouldn't have gotten there. And then you just have a leadoff infield single as opposed to a leadoff Little League walk-off home run that will be talked about for the entire season, for seasons to come. We're going to see this play a whole lot, and it's going to be incredibly infuriating. But the Rangers were due for a little bit of luck regression in terms of their one-run losses. But it happening like this? Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? It's one of those games that thank God they don't have an off day today. Otherwise, they'd have to just sit in that for a whole day, just go get back out there and forget that baseball game ever happened. That's the only good advice I can give to the Rangers or Rangers fans. Just forget that thing ever happened. And it's incredibly frustrating because the day before, they were also walked off in a game where they should have piled on a whole lot more runs than they did. But alas, that's the story of this baseball team. The output is 2 runs, and that's it. And hope that your starting pitching is incredible. Hope that your bullpen is perfect. And so far, it hasn't been. Heck, the walk off the day before was honestly just really, really good hitting by the Giants. It was a pitch that was well below the zone by Jacob Latz. He came in there, and the first batter he faced, first pitch he threw, was a walk-off single. I mean, it's going to be a tough matchup for him anyway. I'm a little surprised they didn't let Sam Huff go off because Sam Huff is good against left-handed pitching. But they bring in Patrick Bailey in there, and first pitch he sees a changeup 3, 4, 5 inches below the zone. Granted, it was over the center of the plate, but it was well below the zone. Should have been an easy ground out. Should have saved a run. Alas, it didn't. I feel like whatever karma that Bruce Bochy had for all of that even year magic that he had in San Francisco, maybe it's all just coming back to roost this year, because just so much of this weekend felt so stupid and so unlucky and so incredibly infuriating that it just feels like some kind of curse. I mean, you look at what the Rangers did with runners in scoring position. This was not an offense that couldn't get any hits at all. No, that was not the case at all. On Sunday, when they scored 2 runs, they had 10 hits and 0 walks. Also, 0 walks against Jordan Hicks, the walk master, the man who cannot stay in the strike zone, is absolutely infuriating. You look at what they did on Friday, where they actually got the win. They got just 2 runs again, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk, 7 hits. Probably should have been a few more than 2 runs, but hey, it happens. The team has not been good with runners in scoring position. And then you pop on 8 hits and 1 walk on Saturday against Robbie Ray, who the Rangers made look like better than the Cy Young version of himself. Robbie Ray had 23 swings and misses in that game. 23 swings and misses. That is peak Jacob deGrom level stuff. That was what he did routinely. He doesn't do that as much anymore, but making Robbie Ray look like that after the season that he's had and not walking at all against Robbie Ray, letting him go 7 innings against the Rangers and going 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. They had 8 hits in that game, 9 base runners total, and they got just 2 runs, because that's apparently what this offense does now. It is just an infuriating watch. An infuriating watch, and an infuriating thing to podcast about as well. I mean, the thing that pissed me off so much about last year is the thing that pissed me off about this year. Give me something new. Fail in a new way. Maybe I am a little bit grateful for this walk-off Little League home run, because at least they're failing in a new way. At least it's not, well, I mean, in part, it was still just the offense being not good enough, not giving this bullpen enough of a lead, not giving the starting pitching much of anything to work with. But at least they were losing in a new way, giving me something new to say about this baseball team other than, I don't know, maybe this offense just sucks. Maybe that's what it is. There's a whole bunch of good hitters and none of them are hitting good. And maybe it's just because everybody sucks and everything sucks. And this Rangers team just was never any good. Maybe we all just collectively fever dream 2023. Maybe that's what happened. I don't even know what to make of this team at this point after this maddening of a weekend, because had the Rangers offense been semi-competent, just semi-competent with runners in scoring position, this would have been an easy sweep. Would have been an absolutely easy sweep. Heck, if the Rangers offense was semi-competent in the last 2 games against Oakland, this team would be riding a 6-game winning streak. Or maybe it's more. I can't remember if they won the Sunday before they left town to go against the A's. I think so. Maybe not. But all those wins, everything feels fleeting about this team, just like this offense. It is just so maddening to watch this team over and over and over and over and over and over again do the same dang thing. I don't know what is going on in those hitters meetings. Maybe the Rangers need to, trade a top 10 prospect for Austin Hedges and he can bring the magic back to the hitters meetings. Maybe that's what this Rangers offense needed. Maybe that. I don't know. But there are just so many good hitters that have not been hitting good all at the same time. It feels like some sort of, mystical curse on this team, because at this point, all the logical explanations, I feel like I have run out of them. So maybe it's mysticism. Maybe it's a crystal ball. Maybe someone stepped on a crack and broke their mama's back. I don't know what to make of this team, but hey, even though this offense stinks, this pitching staff is still really darn good, to the point where maybe the offense just figures it out just just a little bit. This team might actually be at some point good this year. This show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Despite this infuriating weekend for the Rangers, they still have the sixth best odds to win the World Series this year at plus 1,600, behind only the Dodgers, Yankees, Mets, Braves, and Philadelphia Phillies. If you're looking at the NHL for a Stanley Cup for the Stars, right now the Stars are let's see, plus 1,200 behind the Oilers, Jets, Caps, Knights, Leafs, Hurricanes. Of course, the Avalanche are the second favorites, tied with the Florida Panthers at plus 700. I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good about those Stars and their run. So go check out all the action. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Shout out to the everydayers making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. I'll be back on tomorrow's show. Well, I can't talk about a walk-off loss because the Rangers are at home, so maybe they'll just lose on a non-walk-off Little League home run. I don't know. But either way, I'll be back tomorrow talking about this team and this starting rotation, starting Patrick Corbin. Sorry, I had Patrick Bailey on the mind because of his walk-off hit on Saturday. But speaking of this Rangers pitching staff, it's been infuriating to watch how good this Rangers pitching staff is because of how much it's been wasted. I mean, the Rangers have 3 starting pitchers on the IL, and heading into before Sunday's game, the Rangers had 4 starting pitchers on the IL, and still this rotation has been absolute nails. And Jacob deGrom hasn't even been that great yet. That's the most crazy part of all of this, is that the Rangers have one of the best starting rotations in all of baseball. They've got John Gray on the 60-day IL. They've got Cody Bradford on the 60-day IL. Now they've got Kumar Rocker on the 15-day IL with his shoulder impingement. And they signed Patrick Corbin off the scrap heap. And Patrick Corbin's been pretty darn solid, as has been Nathan Eovaldi and Tyler Mahle. Excuse me. No, Tyler Mahle and Nathan Eovaldi have been phenomenal. And even in this game where Tyler Mahle wasn't at his best, he wasn't, doing that well, this Rangers team was due for a little bit of luck regression. They weren't going to continue to be, undefeated in one-run games. They weren't going to continue to be, this lucky, because Mahle hasn't been striking out the entire world. He's been, walking quite a few too many, and he's gotten a little bit lucky with the amount of hits allowed. I mean, the reason that he was, getting this few of hits allowed, this is the most hits he's allowed in a single game so far this season by a wide margin. I believe it's doubled. Last I checked, the most he had allowed was 3. Yeah, the most he had allowed hits in a game was the 6 innings of shutout baseball he pitched against the Angels on April 15th. He allowed 3 hits then. He allowed 8 hits in the game against San Francisco, but still only allowed 2 runs. Only walked 1, so thankfully he wasn't getting himself into trouble like that, but didn't really have the swing and miss type of stuff that he had seen. Whatever the Giants' game plan was against him, it was effective. Some of those hits were just a little bit lucky, a little bit of bloop hits, but hey, eventually you're going to get some regression to the mean. And even with that, Tyler Mahle still has a 1.14 ERA so far this season. He has been really darn good. And in that game, the rest of the Rangers bullpen just wasn't able to make it hold up. And when you ask your bullpen to be perfect time and time again, eventually they're going to give up some runs. Not that many runs in this one, that many runs in this whole weekend. I mean, the Rangers bullpen was scoreless through 3 innings on Friday. They only allowed 1 run, which was the walk-off single to Patrick Bailey in the 9th inning. Outside of that, they were perfect. They didn't allow a single run outside of that. And when you ask your bullpen every single night to be perfect, it's just too much. It is just too much to ask of this bullpen. It's just infuriating that this starting rotation has been so darn good. Even Jack Leiter, I was really worried after that first inning from Jack Leiter on Sunday, getting activated off the IL, and the Rangers spot him a 2-run lead. I thought, okay, maybe this offense is going to do something today. It ended up being very much not the case, including the most infuriating inning of the season so far. I'd say, well, about two of the most infuriating innings. The most infuriating inning was obviously that bottom of the ninth inning on Sunday. Second most infuriating inning, we'll talk about that in just a second. But Leiter looked like the Leiter of old, the Leiter that I watched so many times miss a billion times with his fastball, four-seam fastball glove side. That is to away from right-handed hitters and in on left-handed hitters. When he's overthrowing, when he was trying to do too much, he would miss so much exactly like that. I saw him do it so many times in that first inning, and I thought, oh boy, was that fastball command that we saw from him in the first couple of starts, was that just a nice little 2-inning or 2-start stretch, or is that who he's actually going to be? And the thing that we never saw Leiter do on all those starts in Double-A, we didn't see him right the ship. Usually once he started getting off the rails, it was a little bit too little too late. He was just yanking everything. He was overthrowing everything. He'd get ahead 2 strikes. He'd do that a lot in Double-A as well. He did that a lot in this game on Sunday. But the thing we didn't see him do was right himself and figure it out and stop and get out of his own head. And we saw him do that on Sunday. I was actually pretty encouraged. The overall numbers are a little rougher than you might like. In a first start, he was limited to 75 pitches. He ended up throwing 76, only getting through 3 1/3 because he threw nearly 40, it felt like, in that first inning. But hey, he righted the ship. He stopped overthrowing. He just started landing his pitches, 4 strikes, exactly where he wanted to throw them. Once he landed that 4-seam fastball on the outside corner away to a right-handed hitter, he didn't yank it off the plate. And even when he was, yanking those pitches and not hitting his spots, they were some close misses. They weren't just egregious misses for the most part. There were a few of them for sure, but it wasn't anything, particularly egregious. And seeing himself right the ship, honestly, that makes me almost more encouraged. Maybe this is just me trying to find some kind of sunshine to pump after a truly infuriating weekend. The only good thing about those 2 walk-off losses is that we didn't have to stay up till midnight Central Time to watch them. At least, you ruin your afternoon, then you say, okay, well, I'm going to go eat a pizza or whatever. After the Rangers walk-off loss on Saturday, I went and watched Star Wars in theater. So I'm like, all right, well, today's not an entire loss. But seeing Jack Leiter right the ship, seeing him, struggle and then fix it in game, that's almost more encouraging than what he did for his first 2 starts. Because every starting pitcher, every player will have a stretch where they're going well, where things are going amazing, where their mechanics are good, where they're feeling themselves, where they're confident in every single thing that they're doing, and the results are coming and everything looks awesome. But that doesn't last forever. Eventually things can go off the rails, and the best players, the ones that are elite in succeeding time and time again, what happens, the reason that they have that success so often is that whenever things do go off the rails, whenever things do go not according to plan, they're able to right themselves. They're able to figure out, diagnose what the problem is, and then fix it. And with Jack Leiter in this game, seeing him in real time, diagnose what's going on. Okay, I'm overthrowing it. I'm getting too amped. I'm trying to make too perfect a pitch. I need to just trust my stuff. I need to just throw it like I'd been throwing for the other 2 pitches to get ahead in this count. I don't need to do anything extra special to go and get that 3rd strike. I don't need to try and make the most perfect pitch ever. I can just make a good pitch, and it can be a good pitch, and that can be good enough. And seeing him work through that in real time was very, very encouraging. Was very encouraging to see from a young starter who has had some issues of just making the same mistakes over and over again and being unable to fix those mid-game, sometimes being unable to fix those for several games. And watching him realize that and figure that out and have that success in real time was just such an encouraging thing to see. Maybe the most encouraging thing this weekend, because outside of maybe Jake Berger starting to find his swing, outside of we'll talk about a couple of other encouraging things from this weekend, including Yet another incredible start from Nathan Eovaldi, and thankfully, some not as bad as we feared injury news about, you guessed it, Josh Young. Talk about that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing better than catching a baseball game live, even if it's your team getting walked off like a little league home run. Just being at the ballpark itself is such a great experience. Whether you're talking about the snacks there, whether you're talking about the Dippin' Dots, the popcorn, the whatever, just being in a ballpark is such an integral experience of summertime. But getting tickets to those baseball games, they can be tough sometimes, but not anymore. You've got Game Time. With last minute tickets, all in pricing, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the stress out of buying MLB tickets. Plus, ticket prices drop as the game time gets closer, meaning you can score an incredible deal. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Shout out to the Everydayers for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. Back again on Wednesday, talking about Game 2 of this series against the no longer Oakland Athletics. But this offense, for the most part, before we talk about the good, and I want to finish with the good, I want to talk about the bad. The most infuriating part of this offense was stranding Jock Peterson on a leadoff triple. This was the most infuriating offensive inning for this Texas Rangers squad that I think I've seen all year. It was just so infuriating. The game was tied in the top of the sixes, and the Rangers had finally gotten a starter out of there after just 5 innings. That was something this Rangers squad has not done because they have been very, very aggressive and swinging early in counts, not working counts, not having as many hitters as you would like to be able to work deep counts and to, get starting pitchers out of the game early. So you could get into that bullpen early, and hopefully one of the relievers is having a bad day and you can make them have an even worse day by feasting on them. But the Rangers led off with a triple from Jock Peterson. Yes, a triple from Jock Peterson. We'll talk about him starting to figure things out in just a second. But after that, the Rangers had Adolis Garcia coming up, and then they had Marcus Semien coming up. And then if that didn't work, then, well, Nick Ahmed was present. And I was just so incredibly infuriated with the at-bats that Adolis Garcia and Marcus Semien had. They were just inexcusably bad. They did not see a single strike in the zone. Not a single one from Hayden Burnsog. He threw 7 pitches to those two. All of them were out of the zone. They swung at 5 of them. They swung and missed on 4 of those, including 3 in the dirt by Adolis Garcia. And the only one that they made contact with was just a weak ground out to first base, but not even weak enough to get the runner home from third with less than 2 outs. They had 2 chances to get the runner home, the go-ahead run home with less than 2 outs. A leadoff triple just wasted. This team was 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position on Sunday. 2 for 10. It was just so maddening that this team just can't get it together in the clutch. I don't understand. I don't understand what it is. They're seeing signs of life. We're seeing some signs of life from some hitters in this lineup, not to name names, but I'm going to name names. Jock Peterson has looked much better in his last 7 games. He's hitting .250 in his last 7 games. He's got an on-base of .368. He's slugging .500 in his last 7 games. So maybe Jock Peterson is just going to be a normal-ish version of himself and not going to have another 0 for 41 streak. I feel pretty confident saying that Jock Peterson is not going to have 2 0 for 41 streaks in his same season. I hope that Jock Peterson never has another 0 for 41 streak in his life. I don't know that he's ever had one before. I'm actually pretty darn sure he hasn't. I don't think that he will have one again. Heck, the Rangers got 2 doubles from Leody Taveras in the 9 hole. The Rangers got plenty of extra base hits. They got a double from Berger in this one. They got a double from Peterson. They got a triple from Peterson. They got a couple of doubles from Leody Taveras, and they just couldn't do squat with it. It was infuriating. This team couldn't work a single walk against just a couple of very, very walk-prone starters in back-to-back days with Robbie Ray who has just been a walk machine so far this year. They made him look like the best version of himself that he's ever been. And then they made Jordan Hicks, who is completely wild and erratic, look like a guy who's got impeccable control. And he's absolutely not that. That is not who he is. But hey, at least we've seen some good things from this rotation. Seeing Jake Berger start to break out of his slump, that has been encouraging to see. He has been hitting the baseball incredibly hard the last couple of days. That is a great, great sign. It's not like every single hitter needs to just catch a hot streak at the same time for this offense to just, if this offense just gets to competent, this team is probably winning 2/3 of its games right now with how well the pitching staff is performing. Heck, they still have a winning record despite the offense being just terrible so far this season. Just figure it out a little bit. It's infuriating watching the Mariners offense figure things out, and the Mariners are having starting pitching problems. These two teams' identities are flip flopped. I feel like maybe the Mariners monstarred the Rangers, and that the Rangers, except instead of just completely monstaring them, they just flip flopped it, because the Rangers have an incredible pitching staff and competent offense, and the Mariners right now have an incredible offense and a mediocre to suspect pitching staff. It's like that's not the way baseball was supposed to go. That's not how I saw that going in my mind before the season. That's not how anybody saw the season going before in their minds. But even the Mariners have a couple of injuries to two of their best starters. We'll see what actually happens with Logan Gilbert. Hopefully he's okay. I don't wish injuries on anybody, but it's just wild to see the Mariners having the season the Raiders thought they would have, and the Rangers having the season that the Mariners thought they would have. Eventually, I think this week, at some point, we will see Corey Seager back in this lineup. Hopefully, Bruce Bochy doesn't have to give too many more just random off days to Wyatt Langford, because heck, if Wyatt Langford was in that lineup yesterday, maybe they do end up winning 2 out of 3 of the series. Maybe they do end up having some decent offensive success and score more than 2 runs. Maybe they score 3. Maybe they score 4. Whoa. What a day that would be for this Rangers offense. Alas, that was not how it happened. And there was a little bit of a scare at the end of this game, or actually it was more in the middle of this game, with Josh Young exiting the game early. He had a laceration on his finger and he wasn't able to get the bleeding stopped quick enough. So he came out of that game. He said after the game that he was just fine. Nick Ahmed replaced him and he was the one who got a pitch in the strike zone of those after 7 consecutive pitches outside the strike zone after the leadoff triple from Jock Peterson. They just threw one right down the middle, and of course we saw a little pop up from Nick Ahmed, who had some incredible defensive plays this weekend. I mean, offensively he has been terrible, but defensively you see why Nick Ahmed stuck around in the major leagues for so long, because his defense is absolutely sensational at shortstop. I mean, the Rangers had a bunch of sensational defensive plays and a bunch of just completely boneheaded defensive plays. I mean, this team is just so weird. But even though Josh Young left the game, he said it was just that they couldn't get the bleeding stopped fast enough, and that he will be just fine. I don't think we'll have to see him miss a day. Hopefully not, because the Rangers face a couple of left-handed pitchers in this series against the A's, and Josh Young absolutely crushes left-handed pitching, and that would be really, really good to have him in there and hitting as well as he does against those lefties. Maybe the Rangers can have the offensive day that the Chicago White Sox had. I think the most infuriating thing about seeing this Rangers offense not do anything against the A's in West Sacramento, Yellow County, is watching the freaking White Sox drop a 10 spot this weekend on the A's. This Rangers offense couldn't do that. Are you worse than the White Sox offense? Dear God, I hope not. That would be a truly horrific thing. Maybe we can just shame them into hitting better with runners scoring position. I don't know what it takes at this point. Maybe some kind of I don't know, some kind of ceremony. And whoever's got Josh Young's voodoo doll, please stop. Please stop. Put it down. Put it in a safe place. Leave that young man alone, okay? Don't hurt his finger with a laceration. Don't hurt his knee or his neck or his back or whatever. Leave that young man alone. But hey, the only other good thing coming out of this weekend is that Nathan Eovaldi is still that freaking dude. What a freaking performance against this Giants lineup that has been really darn good. 6 innings of shutout baseball, just 1 walk, 3 hits, 7 strikeouts. He has looked incredible so far this season. It's making that $25 million a year look like an absolute freaking bargain. I mean, a 2.21 ERA on the season. He's got 36 innings pitched so far, over 36 innings pitched so far this season. He's averaging under a walk per 9, under a home run per 9, more than a strikeout per inning. He has just been so darn good. 12.67 strikeouts for each walk. That is the peak Nathan Eovaldi that we all know and love. Also with a complete game shutout when the Rangers needed it most. They didn't really need a complete game shutout because the rest of their bullpen did enough to finish out the rest of the shutout on Friday night. But Nathan Eovaldi looking like himself. Jock Peterson starting to figure things out. Jake Berger starting to turn things around. And heck, maybe just plug Corey Seager back into this lineup and take advantage of an Oakland pitching staff that is not that good. Seeing them a second time right after the Rangers saw them for 3 games, including an offensive explosion of 8 runs in that Monday game in West Sacramento. Hopefully seeing this starting pitching staff for a second straight time, they can figure out what the heck they did wrong in those games last week and just turn the offense on. Just put the keys in the ignition, turn it on, put your foot on the brake if it has one of those cars where you got to do that. If it's a push to start it. Just whatever it is, it's time. It's past time. It is well past time to figure out how to get this offense going. I wish I knew how, because if I did, I would absolutely be making that happen right now. Alas, I can't. We are stuck with an infuriating weekend and the dumbest walk-off loss I've ever seen. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball, even when it's stupid.